Hi everyone, it's Laura Volpes for Studio Katia, and in today's video I'm going to share with you how to create a super easy and super pretty thank you card. As a first step, I used the dotted SLIMLINE set 1 dies to die cut my card base and this scalloped rectangle that I die cut out of some watercolor cardstock and that I'm going to decorate with the lovely bloomed stamp set by Studio Katia. This stamp set is meant for A2 cards, but I'm gonna show you how you can easily use it on a slimline design. So I have here my scalloped rectangle in my Misty and I'm inking up my stamp with some embossing ink before closing the lid of my Misty and transferring the design on my slimline card front. I'm using a whiteboard eraser to make sure that the stamps leaves a nice impression, and then I'm going to coat this with some white embossing powder and I'm going to then dab off the excess and heat set the powder with my heat gun. I want to use the emboss resist technique today, but before that I'm going to create a mask for my stamp. I stamped it here on some repositionable packaging labels and I am cutting around the stamp lines only on one side, which is the one that I want to mask in order to extend my design. Once I was done cutting the mask, I adhered it to my card panel here and then I am using my Misty to stamp the image again on the empty side. The mask here is going to protect the design that was already embossed so that I can go ahead, coat the second part of my card front with embossing powder and melt it with my heat gun. Next, I'm going to do some ink blending and I'm sorry that the frame is a little bit out of focus here, but it's going to be fixed in a minute. Anyway, the colors that I'm using are Squeezed Lemonade, Kitsch Flamingo and Savage Patina, and I am ink blending them at an angle, making sure to overlap the colors so that I can create the intermediate shades that allow me to create a full rainbow out of these three colors. You can see how pretty it is, and I'm going to add some splatters with my Distress Oxides, and I also used Perfect Pearls in the color Perfect Pearl and Perfect Gold to add a little bit of shimmer as well. For my sentiment, I used the Chunky Alphabet by Studio Katia and I am die cutting the word thank you. I am cutting it out of the same white cardstock that I used for my card base and I die cut each letter 3 times so that I could stack the die cuts and create a bit of a more dimensional sentiment that would stand out a little bit more from the background. To create even more dimension, I'm going to use some foam tape to adhere the ink blended panel onto my card base, and then I can move on and adhere my die cut sentiment. To make sure that I die cut everything straight, I'm using a T-square ruler, and these reverse tweezers are also very useful to hold your die cut letters. And of course, this wouldn't be a Studio Katia video if we didn't have a little bit of bling. In this case, I'm using the pastel rainbow confetti, which are just the perfect sato accent for this card, and I'm adhering them down using my Studio Katia liquid glue and the embellishment wand. Here's a close-up look at the final result with all that beautiful sato shine, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Studio Katia channel for more inspiration from the design team. As always, thank you all so much for stopping by and have a great day.